1. The Lahore Resolution, passed on March 23, 1940, marks a pivotal moment in the struggle for independence and the eventual creation of Pakistan. This historic event unfolded against the backdrop of colonial India, a diverse land with deep-seated religious, cultural, and political divisions. The Lahore Resolution, also known as the Pakistan Resolution, was a defining moment that articulated the aspirations of Muslims in the subcontinent for a separate homeland, where they could freely practice their religion, culture, and way of life. To understand the significance of the Lahore Resolution, one must delve into the socio-political landscape of pre-partition India. The Indian subcontinent, under British colonial rule, was characterized by deep-seated religious and cultural diversity, with Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, and others coexisting but often clashing. The British colonial administration employed a policy of divide and rule, exacerbating tensions between different religious and ethnic communities for their own political gain. Throughout the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the Indian nationalist movement gained momentum, advocating for greater autonomy and eventual independence from British rule. However, as the nationalist movement grew, so did tensions between the Hindu and Muslim communities. Muslims, fearing marginalization in a predominantly Hindu-majority independent India, began to articulate their demand for separate political representation and safeguards for their rights. 4. The All India Muslim League, founded in 1906 to safeguard the interests of Muslims in India, emerged as the primary political voice for the Muslim community. Under the leadership of visionary leaders such as Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the Muslim League began to articulate the demand for a separate homeland for Muslims in the Indian subcontinent. 5. The Lahore Resolution of 1940 was the culmination of years of political struggle and advocacy by the Muslim League. The resolution was passed during the League's annual session held in Lahore, then part of British India's Punjab province. It was a historic moment that brought together Muslim leaders from across the subcontinent to articulate their collective demand for self-determination and sovereignty. 6. The Lahore Resolution, drafted by a committee led by Maulana Zafar Ali Khan, Chaudhry Khalid Saman, Sir Muhammad Zafarullah Khan, and others, outlined the Muslim League's demand for the creation of independent states and regions where Muslims were in the majority. The resolution stated, 7. Resolved that it is the considered view of this session of the All India Muslim League that no constitutional plan would be workable or acceptable to the Muslims unless geographical contiguous units are demarcated into regions, which should be so constituted with such territorial readjustments as may be necessary, that the areas in which the Muslims are numerically in a majority as in the northwestern and eastern zones of British India should be grouped to constitute independent states, in which the constituent units shall be autonomous and sovereign. 8. This resolution marked a significant departure from the Muslim League's earlier demands for constitutional reforms within a united India. It laid the foundation for the idea of a separate Muslim state, and set the stage for the eventual partition of British India into two independent nations, India and Pakistan. 9. The Lahore Resolution was not merely a political statement, it was a reflection of the aspirations, hopes, and fears of millions of Muslims in the subcontinent. For many Muslims, the demand for a separate homeland was not just about political representation, but also about preserving their distinct identity, culture, and way of life in the face of perceived marginalization and discrimination in a united India. 10. The passage of the Lahore Resolution galvanized the Muslim League and invigorated the struggle for Pakistan. It provided a clear and unequivocal mandate for the Muslim League to pursue its goal of creating an independent Muslim state. The resolution also served as a rallying cry for Muslims across the subcontinent, uniting them behind the demand for self-determination and sovereignty.
11. In the years following the Lahore Resolution, the political landscape of British India underwent significant upheaval. The Muslim League, under the leadership of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, intensified its efforts to mobilize support for Pakistan. Meanwhile, the Indian National Congress, the leading party in the nationalist movement, remained committed to the idea of a united India and opposed the partition of the country along religious lines. 12. The Lahore Resolution set the stage for intense negotiations between the Muslim League, the Congress, and the British government in the lead-up to independence. Despite opposition from various quarters, including the Congress and sections of the British administration, the demand for Pakistan gained momentum, fueled by the growing support among Muslims and the League's unwavering commitment to its cause. 13. On August 14, 1947, British India was partitioned into two independent nations, India and Pakistan. The creation of Pakistan fulfilled the aspiration of millions of Muslims in the subcontinent who had long sought a homeland where they could live in freedom and dignity. The Lahore Resolution, passed 7 years earlier, had laid the groundwork for this momentous event, shaping the course of history and leaving an indelible mark on the collective memory of the people of Pakistan. 14. In conclusion, the Lahore Resolution of March 23, 1940, stands as a watershed moment in the history of Pakistan. It was a bold and visionary declaration that articulated the aspiration of Muslims in the subcontinent for a separate homeland. The resolution laid the foundation for the creation of Pakistan and inspired millions of people to strive for freedom, self-determination, and dignity. Today, the Lahore Resolution is remembered and celebrated as a symbol of Pakistan's struggle for independence and the resilience of its people in the face of adversity.